It's Dr. Meredith Watson, the Unapologetic Therapist, coming to talk to you today about stop stuffing a hole so you can fill a hole. Play on the words of hole. And this is the end of the 5-day challenge. I knew I took a break in between. I had some things I wanted to make sure were ready to go by the time I came back on. But if you recall, on day one, we talked about your ideal day, your ideal life, what you truly want to accomplish, um, why that's so important to you, and just kind of get into the feeling of what that really means. And then we talked about, being unapologetic about it, wherein people will, you don't care who it pisses off. Think about who pisses it off, who it would piss off, but not really getting into all of the really caring about who it pisses off. If they, when you're having the life that you want, you're achieving the things that you want, stop really worrying about who it might piss off, even though you start to think about who that might be. And then the limiting beliefs as to why you think you can't have it. Sometimes it's not someone else, or it's somebody else, and you also are worried about why you can't. Like, you've been told that you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, and you start to play into that bullshit, and you just continue to feed that story to yourself. And think about all the limiting beliefs of why you don't think you can, and then start recreating or rewriting what that means, knowing that anything you want is yours to have. If it was put inside of you to be birthed through you, then it's yours to have. There's no reason why you can't have the things that you want. I am sharing this out. So while I'm sharing this out and revamping or reviewing of what we went over the first 4 days, tell me where you're watching from, how you're doing. If this is resonating, share. Feel free to share it with anyone you think this will be beneficial to. And a lot of why we don't have the things that we want is because we don't think that we deserve it. We are concerned that if we become rich, rich people, or you have, fill in the blank with whatever you think rich people are, or if you have a business, or if you outdo how much your parents have done or your siblings have done, or you're afraid that, because you got B's and C's in school that, now you can't achieve the things that you want. Just kind of think about why you think you can't have the things that you want. And for years and years and years, I was called Fatso, Four Eyes, Oreo, told what I could and couldn't do. No one's going to listen to my message. No one cares what I think. And you have to start reprogramming those things and kind of unapologetically say what you believe and what you truly feel like is yours to have. And before you can convince anybody else of what you are entitled to and you should have and going after what you want, you need to believe it yourself. It's hard to convince anyone else if you don't really believe it yourself. So we're going to jump right into the rest of what I was saying earlier. As you all know, I'm Dr. Meredith Watson, the Unapologetic Therapist. And, the people-pleasing people who are always doing too much for others, are codependent, forgetting themselves, all to obtain love, acceptance, belonging outside themselves. Well, I support them as they stop doing all that and know that everything that they need is inside of them. The love, the validation, acceptance, belonging, all of that is inside of them. And a lot of people don't go after what they want because they have no idea how good it feels to live unapologetically, and they're in these relationships or in these situations where they're being dumped for their codependency and they're selling their soul for love. They're invalidating how they feel, and your feelings are just feelings. They're worthy and they get to be acknowledged and worked through without judgment. And like I was saying earlier, some people are stuffing this hole that they're trying to fulfill in an effort to be whole, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling, overworking, codependency, martyring, whatever it is you're doing to kind of fill that hole and not really face what it is you need to face. And people are these people-pleasing doormats, and I was a people-pleasing doormat stuck in a box, suffocating in a box created by other people who forgot to leave air holes. And it was so that I could belong and so that I could be not in the trenches, but so that I could belong to this group or be accepted by these people, loved and embraced, kind of be able to sit at their table. But it comes to a point where you realize you deserve more than the scraps from the table. You deserve a whole table of your own to head your own table. And maintaining these one-sided relationships where they're either emotionally abusive or physically abusive, and you're maintaining and staying in these relationships, again, for that love, acceptance, and belonging. You don't feel you're good enough. You're comparing yourself to other people. You're lying to yourself. You're filling your head with this negative thoughts. You take things personally. And I can give you a perfect example about right before my second heart attack. My mom's husband berated me for 45 minutes on the phone, and she sat there in what I assume was a mixture of solidarity and horror. And part of me sitting there for the whole 45 minutes, I take ownership that I should have hung up, is him mirroring back to me everything I already felt about myself, all the negative things, all the horrible things. She just let him say that, and it was mirroring back to me everything that I was already feeling about myself. And when people used to say that I was fat, so Oreo, four eyes, I smacked, all those things, it was worrying I wasn't good enough, worrying I wasn't enough. So they were parroting back to me what I already felt about myself. And every time someone would be too busy or not return my phone calls, or my mom wouldn't come when I asked her to, or whatever, I would take it personally. But a lot of the things that people do and say is not a reflection on you, it's a reflection of them. It may mirror what you've been telling yourself, but that's what you're taking personally. Most of the time, even though you would like to think that they're awful people, and some of them are, they're also dealing with their own shit, and they are really kind of transferring their own shit onto you. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Some of the things my mom's husband was saying were really parroting back how he felt and how she felt, and he was projecting that onto me, but I was taking it personally. And that also goes along with when you're ignoring and not setting boundaries. Like, there should be a level that you will not tolerate. You should not be available for this particular thing, and anything that steps over that boundary automatically gets cut off. But some people, that love and acceptance and belonging and validation and codependency leads you to just ignore or not even set boundaries, or allowing poor boundaries. Like, there's got to be a point where you say, no more, I'm not available for this, I'm not doing this, and not letting other people's needs supersede your own. As a work from home single mom, I'm all the time putting everybody's needs before my own, but you can't fill from an empty cup. So as I'm fulfilling my cup, I'm really, in essence, helping those I love and care about, because I can fully show up for them. But I should never show up for anyone to the point where my needs are not being met. I'm sacrificing my health, my well-being, my mental health, my mindset, my spiritual practices, the things that fill me up so that I can show up as my most authentic and fulfilled self. And giving endlessly without anything in return. And I'm one of those believers that relationships shouldn't necessarily be 50-50. They should be 100%, and I'm bringing 100% and you're bringing 100%. Yes, sometimes I fail and I need more and this other person isn't, full up to par, but that should not be the status quo. It shouldn't always be that I'm giving everything and always the other person is giving everything. It should be reciprocal. You should feel loved and wanted in a relationship if you choose to be in a relationship. Sometimes we need to be in a relationship with ourselves first before we're ever ready to accept anybody else into our space. And that goes back to some people who jump from relationship to relationship to relationship. They don't ever want to be alone. They're, God forbid, you spend 10 minutes single because you're so needing somebody else to kind of okay everything you do. And it drives me insane. But I had that same issue. I had that same issue, not with, partners, but in finding a mother figure, like my mom that I love to death. She's not calling me. And it's reminding me that I'm always searching for that filler, that kind of figure in my life. And some people, I was made fun of for that, and having to get over even that stigma. We get a lot of stigma for being single. We get a lot of stigma for everything. You could be walking on water and people would still be like, having criticism. And letting limiting beliefs control you. Like I said, I was told all my life, four eyes, fatso, Oreos, I smack, and nobody wants what I have to offer. All of these things. And I let it feed into what I believed about myself. Hi, Gilbert. And when I finally got to the point where I was like, that bullshit is not true. I'm just as capable as anybody else. I'm just as pretty, just as smart, speak just as well. I talk fast because I'm excited and I'm passionate. And I don't smack. In fact, for like years after I was told that, I didn't eat in front of people, so I couldn't have possibly been smacking because there wasn't any food there. And it was a lot of things I had to overcome so that I could figure out who I truly was at the core. And it took a lot of layering or going through the layers, that onion philosophy. I had to do that a lot just so I would feel like what they were, or disprove what they were saying. Kind of in geometry, if you took geometry or any type of evidence, you have to have evidence to keep the story going. And sometimes you give yourself the evidence, you tell yourself these lies, but you have to decide at some point that they're not true, unless they are, and then in which case you want to work on that. Being emotionally abused, being dominated, being tripped up or trapped by mind games. The talk right now is a lot of narcissist behavior, people, or gaslighting. That was the worst. I was gaslit for a very long time, and it made me wonder if what I was feeling was real. Like my feelings were invalidated because it was like, that didn't really happen. Or you don't get to feel that way. You're overreacting, or whatever the game was, or whatever they were trying to say. But then you start wondering about your own feelings and validating yourself. But I'm here to talk about, or tell you, it's time to be assertive, to rise above, to lift your self-esteem, changing your beliefs. That's how you build up your self-esteem. You start rewriting that story so that you can achieve anything that you want and get over that fear of abandonment. And I touch my heart as I say that because it is so very personal for me. Like, feeling abandoned and alone is the worst feeling in the world. But if you're with someone who doesn't accept you and love you and really see you for who you truly are and embrace that and challenge you to embrace it instead of trying to water you down and tell you you're too much or whatever criticism they have for you that day, that's not, is that really worth it? Would you rather be alone or with someone who doesn't even see the true you? You're still alone. You may be with someone, but you're not with them and they're not with you. You don't have that intimacy where you feel deeply known. And that's all about creating that intimacy incubator. Now is the time to rise up and protect yourself from needing that validation and that love and acceptance and belonging outside yourself, wanting the attention from somebody who isn't really worthy of your time and energy. It's time to say yes to creating all of those things inside of yourself and see how easily it is. It's not that easy, but and over time it becomes easier to stop seeing yourself through other people's eyes, because their estimation of you should not equal the sum total of who you truly are. They don't get to decide that. The nasty truth is, seeing yourself through others' eyes is probably most likely, I would dare to say definitely, what's holding you back. You're staying in this stuck place feeling unworthy because of what somebody else is saying or not saying, doing or not doing, coming or not coming. And you're looking for all that outside yourself when all that you need is already nestled within. We weren't created so that we can live on other people's validation and live on needing, of course, tribal days, you wanted to be in a certain tribe and it's, better to travel in numbers. But all of that is really situational. Like, you probably wouldn't go down a dark alley by yourself, but you typically are born into this world by yourself and you technically die by yourself. And if who's with you the entire time but you? So I would think that you're needing to know yourself and be one with yourself and feel worthy and validated to yourself should take precedence over anybody else, because probably no one else knows your whole story the way you do. And just get that point where you're not wondering if you're worthy or valuable, because you know that you are, and you are. You aren't created just to be someone's stepping stone and to be someone's piece of crap to step on. You can achieve everything and anything you want, and the quickest way to achieve that is to create your own intimacy incubator. You can only go so far on someone else's steam. So from here forward, I challenge you to create your own steam, create your own intimacy incubator. And if you need support, I am so thrilled and passionate about my one-to-one on-demand program, where we discuss what you want to discuss about life and dropping this struggle of people pleasing and always doing too much for other people, at the risk of codependency and forgetting about your needs, and all in exchange, or you think in exchange for this love and validation and acceptance that you think this person is giving you whole soul and they're not. So I want to support you as you stop and think of big stop signs all along the road of life when you stop needing this love and validation and acceptance outside yourself. When we work together, we talk about those things and try to coordinate and customize a plan for you. We use intuitive guidance. We do homework around it, things you can do in your own time in between talking to each other. I utilize resources that kind of garner and call out and shed light on that inner magic you've always had. You were magic all along. It's just sometimes you might want help to draw it out. But everything you need is already nestled inside of you. I challenge people to overcome that need for validation and love and acceptance. And I know what it's like. I've been an addict for 25 years. I was looking for that love validation outside myself for almost 4 decades. So this is not my first time at the rodeo, but I know that with the right support, you can achieve anything that you want. And whole soul, authentic, magical, end up highly intuitive, high touch, captivating support where shedding the light on the magic you already possess. That's all I do is shed the light. It's like if you've ever seen one of those people that work in tunnels or mines, they have those hats, and at the front there's like this light, this big bright light, and it leads the way in this dark tunnel. So I utilize coaching. I utilize my portal, which has mind maps, ebooks, strategies, formulas, ebooks, e-courses, videos, meditations, all in an effort to customize a program where you are stopping the bullshit. You are really giving yourself this space and the container to stop looking outside yourself for love, validation, acceptance, approval, because you don't need that from other people. You have all the necessary tools you need for that inside of you. I do business coaching also, but I find that in order to have a successful business, in order for people to buy into you, you have to buy into yourself and feel worthy and enough so you can show up as your best self, your most confident, authentic, true self, and all that shines through in your message as you come across. So I do still do business coaching, but I really like to work on the getting you in the place where you walk out. If you've ever watched a pageant, I was in pageant for years, you walk out and you're facing those lights confidently because you know what you bring to the table. So I'm going to head out. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening. Hi, Tammy. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Please share this. I'm going to head out. I'll put the information if you want to review my one-to-one program. I'm really proud of it. I just redid my I do authentic kind of website. It's my version of a website. So go check it out. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. If you're catching the replay, thanks for taking your time. And share this with those you think are in need of hearing something like this, a message. And thanks so much. I will see you the next time.